Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So this one, getting a little bit different. The YouTube channel is Joe of All Trades, so not just about RC toys or golf carts or whatever. But what I got behind me is my latest acquisition, which is a Miniature Train Company G12. This is a 12-inch gauge little amusement park ride-on train. I have been one of these for a long time. Been looking around. Missed out on one about a year ago. That's a funny story. I'll share that at some point in time. But I found one. A guy I knew gave me a call and said, hey, there's a guy in New Jersey that has 2 of these trains for sale, but you got to buy them both. So I thought, okay, I'll buy one and I'll sell the other. So my dad agreed to go with me to New Jersey to buy these things, and I don't think there's a chance of selling the other one. The other one is now in his barn. He's going to kind of rebuild it, get it going, and I'm in the process of rebuilding this. Let me kind of give you a quick overview. I will say I have stripped this thing clean. The guts are empty. You see a new engine sitting in there. I'm going to repower this thing. So we're going to go to a overview of the old drive system. So this is a Wisconsin single-cylinder motor, probably in that 5 to 7 horsepower range. I'm not quite sure. It was a direct drive system, so you'll notice this engine has a through shaft. So the shaft goes all the way through the engine, both out front and the back, and then has 2 like torque converters, like liquid drives, one on the back and one on the front. And there was a starter that you can see the starter gear here, so it had electric start, so the starter would start that. And then this drive shaft would go power the rear truck, and this drive shaft would go power the front truck. Who knows how old this engine is? This could be out of the 50s, maybe 60s, 70s. Don't know. Can't get parts for them. Rather expensive to rebuild. These fluid clutches, I've never seen one this small. It's sort of like a torque converter. Never really seen them. So I decided I want this thing to be reliable. The ultimate goal, and hopefully this can be a multi-part series over the next couple of years, is I want to build a track around my entire property that I can run the train around. This is my barn. It's kind of dirty, messy, not lit enough. I need to get some more lights in here if I'm going to be working on this train. And I'll get some more lights in here. This thing's 10 foot long, so it's kind of cool. It's not real small, but you can see I've got a new engine sitting in here. I'm going to make this thing hydraulic drive. So what I'm going to do is I got a... actually, my bracket's not in yet, but there's a mount to mount my hydraulic pump to my engine. And then on the front of it, I'm going to mount my hydraulic motor down to this base area here. And I'm going to put a drive shaft along the back here. And this is going to be a chain drive. I've kind of sized the hydraulic pump and motor accordingly, but then I'll have a sprocket on the motor and a sprocket on this drive shaft so I can change the sprockets if I need to speed it up or slow it down. But then there'll be a drive shaft going to the front truck. Then there'll be a drive shaft going to the back truck. And so you'll notice this thing is, like I said, it is white clean. I took everything out. I even took the dash out. There was a dash here, looked pretty crummy and had old switches and circuit breakers and gauges out of the 50s. And so I designed a new dash, which you will picture here. And I'm actually using a company called Oshcut. I saw this on Jerry Rig Everything. I don't know if you guys have watched his channel or not. He was building an electric Hummer. So he took a Hummer and tore the gas engine out and was making it all electric. But he used this company called Oshcut, and they have water jet and lasers, and you design your files, you upload it, and actually pretty reasonable pricing for small quantities. And they cut it and send it to you. So I've not received it yet. I'm really excited. I'm hoping that it works out really well, but I made a new dash for that, new electrical interface. And here, let me show you the cars. I'm really excited about this. So there's 3 passenger cars, and each car shares a wheel set. So you'll notice at the end of these cars, there are these little pegs that go down, and each car has it, and these wheel sets have a place to hook 2 cars up. So there is a powered truck. You can see the drive shaft that comes on it. As the drive shaft spins, it spins the wheels. There's a powered truck on bottom for the front, and then I have these other trucks that they all ride on. So they can haul like, let's see, I think there's seats for like 4 kids per car. And then this observation car, kind of a streamlined look, will bring up the rear. As you saw from my RC train video, I've got that kind of cool F-unit silver and red Monon. So when I saw this silver one, you know what paint scheme this is going to get. This silver actually is really nice. I do need to clean it up. All this red on here is just like electrical tape. So I'm going to paint a red stripe down there, and we'll put the Monon logo on there. And I've got 600 and I don't know if it's 660 feet or 680 feet of track. These are just 10-foot sections. Again, 12-inch gauge, which means 12-inch from inside rail to inside rail. And I've got, there's like 55 pieces here of straight track. And then by my 1978 F-150, that's another project for another day. I've got these curved pieces. There's 12 curved pieces, which makes up a full loop. You can see one's damaged here. I got to repair that, but that is no big deal. So I'll get this piece figured out, and we're going to make this thing go. So I'm going to keep this like track for when I want to take it to our town festival or community events. I'm going to keep this track, but I'm actually going to build permanent rail all around my house, which I'll kind of show you a layout here. And that's kind of the goal. But this is kind of a quick overview of what this is and what we're going to do to it. And so I'm really excited about this. I got some hiccups going on here. But this is a 10 horsepower Briggs & Stratton Vanguard motor. You see I got basically everything stripped off. I'm going to use the original fuel tank on here. It fits in here nicely. I took the key switch and that stuff off because that's going to get wired into the dash. I did have to take the air intake off. It gets in the way of this stuff here. And then I also had to take the exhaust off. It's kind of too big and bulky. So I'll build a custom exhaust that will ultimately come out this hole here and kind of shoot down. And then I will have to get a air intake adapter, so that's pretty easy to take care of. Let me show you the valve. And then here is my control valve. This is just kind of like a log splitter valve. It's a manual valve that goes, it's a bi-directional. And so, try and do this with one hand here. So as the lever goes forward, it'll go forward. As it goes in reverse, it goes in reverse. And these little trains have these controls here. So you got a handle here you can flip up, and a handle here you can flip up. And these are just rods that go up there. So you can see that piece right up there. So this one I'm gonna hook up to my throttle. And then this one comes out right up in there. I'm gonna hook this one to my manual valve, and that's how I will propel the train forward, reverse, or neutral. And I'm actually not gonna add brakes to this. The hydraulic valve and the hydraulic motor will act as this brake. So I'll keep updating you on the build of this train. Hope to cut out some more parts tonight and tomorrow at work, and we'll put some more together. So last night I went to the shop and I designed a few brackets, and one of our employees at the shop that does the plasma cutting a lot, he cut these out for me this morning. I got a bracket made out of 1/4-inch steel that I'm going to use to mount the hydraulic control valve. I'm going to attach it over on this side right here, so that valve will be mounted about like so that the push-pull cable can push and pull the lever for forward, reverse, and brake. And also designed and fabbed up a hydraulic motor mount. This is out of 3/8 steel, and I will just drill holes in the floor pan. There's actually some reinforcement steel seams there to make that stronger. I'll put it right beside that, and then this motor will bolt right down here. So on the floor, I'm just going to drill holes through and bolt it down. Now on the motor or the valve mount, I don't want to drill all the way through this and mess up the paint on the outside here. So what I'm going to use, and actually this is all closed in, I can't get to behind this to add bolts to the backside. So I'm going to use what's called nut zerks. It's sort of like a nut and a rivet made into one. So I brought some stuff from the shop. So here you can see these little, it's got a thread on the inside. Might be able to see that there. But this acts like a rivet. So I'm going to drill like I believe it's a 5/16 hole. I'll have to measure the diameter of this. I'll drill 2 holes, slide this in, and then we have like this rivet tool to rivet in these recessed nuts. So then I can just bolt the hydraulic valve onto the side here without having to do any welding or drilling through the outside of this. So I'm going to get started mounting this. And there we go. Now the valve is mounted and the lever basically is here for forward reverse. It does have a detent reverse. This handle I'm actually going to shorten up, so I'm actually going to cut off here. I'll take this to the press and smash this in so I can get bolt and eyelet to it. And this linkage, right, I'll make a linkage to go from here to run now. So now it's time to line up the hydraulic motor where I want it, and I'll drill holes and get that bolted in as well. So I used a square to square off the body line so that I can ensure that my hydraulic motor mount is perpendicular to the bottom line, or the body line, because my drive shaft will be parallel with that body line. So there's actually a previous hole there from an existing mount. I'm going to use one of those existing holes, and then I'm going to drill 2 more holes and we'll mount the motor in. All right, so I got the hydraulic motor mount mounted. And now we can fit this in here and see how it does. So there we have the hydraulic motor mounted. I'm really happy with it. It's very secure. It's in there nicely. As I was looking at this, I think I made a mistake in the location that I mounted the manual valve. There's these hoods that sit on top of here, and these bolts are the hinge for one of the hoods. And so this is a brake line from the hood that's over the engine versus the hood that's over the front. And this hood folds backwards, and as it comes down, a portion of it comes down below here. So my linkage that's going to go from here to here is going to be in the way of that. So I may have to move this valve to behind the engine. I haven't determined that yet. I'm still going to ponder on this a little bit. Obviously this does have to get cut down for clearance purposes. But with this hood in the way, that's going to create an issue. So let me think about that. If I do decide to move it, those nut zerks are real easy to put in. I've got plenty more of them. I can just unbolt this, find a new spot, and bolt them back in. So this will probably be the end of this video. We got the valve and motor mounted. The engine is not secured down, but it is in its place. I'm going to get a piece of 1/2-inch rubber. We have some bunch of conveyor belting cutoffs that I'm going to put between the engine and the body, just to kind of give a little bit of vibration absorption, so we're not vibrating this engine or vibrating this body too much. That'll kind of help cut down on that. In the next video, I'll hopefully have all the mount for the pump, so I'll go over getting the pump bolted up to the engine. I will have the bearings that'll hold the drive shaft in here, so we're going to mount that drive shaft. And some of you guys might wonder, or if you're in the miniature train world, this is not the normal hydraulic setup. Most hydraulic setups have a motor going directly to the truck. A part of me wants to restore the original Wisconsin engine with the original direct drives. And so if I go this route, I can utilize the existing drive shafts and not modify the trucks at all. And I want to try to keep this as original as possible, but I also want to run this, so that's why we're putting the new engine in it. But if I do ever restore that Wisconsin engine, I can unbolt all this stuff, bolt the original setup back in, and be ready to go. And also with this hydraulic motor will spin, when this engine's opened up, spin about 450 RPMs, which is not as fast as the old direct drive, because the old direct drive, those drive shafts would have spent 500 up to maybe 2,000 RPMs based upon the RPMs of the engine. So right now with this setup, this will be extremely slow. But because I'm going to have a separate shaft along here that this motor is turning, I can change my gear ratio by putting a larger sprocket on this motor and a smaller sprocket on this secondary shaft, and give me some flexibility to be able to speed this up or slow it down by changing some gears. Those gears are relatively inexpensive. You loosen an Allen screw, it'll slide off this motor, slide the one off the shaft, and change them out. So I can change that gear ratio to get if I need more speed or not, or if it is too fast, change it to slow it down. So like I said, in the next video, we'll get hopefully all this stuff mounted up in here, and maybe start to get some hydraulic lines put in. I do need to look for a hydraulic oil tank, which we'll put right up here at front. So I'll find a hydraulic oil tank for this. And this thing's coming right along. Hopefully here in the next couple weeks, you'll see a video of me driving this thing around. So thanks for tuning in to the Miniature Train Company G12. And hope you follow along for some more.